This video is going to be a commentary on Lamar Jackson's situation as it has developed late in the week, with all the other transactions going across the league and so much of the commentary that people have put out there, social media posts. And to be honest with you, there's going to be a little bit of a commentary about Lamar Jackson's career with the Ravens, which I don't think is over. So don't get that impression. And some observations about the process as it's developing, as it stands late Friday night into early Saturday morning, March 11th, as I record this, with the idea of letting this be a Saturday morning stream. Look, the two most recent developments that are, I guess, somewhat related to the Lamar Jackson Ravens situation is the Dolphin. Number one, the Dolphins, clearing a bunch of space this week, supposedly 40 million, 42 million, and then deciding to use the 5th year extension on Tua. So it appears the Dolphins were clearing that space for that $23 million salary for Tua in 2023, and they done that. They've executed that move. So it looks like that was the end goal of them clearing all that space. Now there's other possibilities out there. I kind of mentioned them in a video earlier this week. It's possible that teams are Dolphins would be one of them, clearing space to give themselves options depending on how the draft works out, and to possibly then tender an offer to Lamar after the draft. As you see some of his career highlights run, and just know I intentionally went back and did this and wanted to put a video out with as many of his career highlights as possible. I don't do highlight videos. I don't edit like that. And in fact, this isn't being edited at all. This is just a straight video with, in my database so that I can, slow it down, pause right on the screen if I wish. Touchdown pass to Willie Snead in 2019, 2020 maybe. Look, then the other transaction that, I don't want to say is related to Lamar Jackson, but is the Bears just fleecing the Panthers, grabbing every damn pick that the Panthers have, almost, for a number one pick that really the Bears didn't even seem to want in the first place. Just an incredible haul of picks for the Bears. I think pick number 9, pick 61 or maybe 63. This year, I think a first round draft pick next year, a second rounder in 2025. Oh, and DJ Moore, a Maryland guy that Ravens fans are pretty familiar with, especially after our game against the Panthers this year. Now, our DB core handled him quite well, to be honest with you. But DJ Moore is still a fantastic football player and has made a lot of plays in the NFL and in college that establishes him as a weapon. Apparently those two teams, the Dolphins and the Panthers, are out of the Lamar Jackson hunt, apparently, at this time. Like I said, nothing would surprise me in terms of the Panthers, it would, but for the Dolphins, the Patriots, or anyone to be, possibly setting up to make a tender after the draft, if things don't work out for them, nothing would surprise me. Look, there's a ton of highlight plays here by Lamar. Pass plays, extending the play in and out of the pocket, scrambling, finding open receivers, scrambling, unplanned rushing yardage for him, getting out of the pocket, gaining first downs, designed run plays. He's dangerous on every snap when he's on the field. We know that as Ravens fans. We know how much better he made our offense, regardless of who else was on the field with him. And look, regardless of what other people think, I ran into two of them this week on Twitter. Tried to handle it professionally because I feel like I need to, with the stature of the Twitter and YouTube channels at this time. Although in real life, you may handle things differently. Personally, I don't want to engage those people, but and a few times I have, and I've tried to do it professionally and let them know that, that A, they don't know what they're talking about, and B, a lot of the times those people are Ravens fans, or they're claiming to be Ravens fans. And in fact, they're typically probably just masquerading as Ravens fans, trolls who want to go out there and say negative things about Lamar, about the Ravens, acting like they're Ravens fans, but really they're not. I mean, it really says a whole lot more about them than it does about us as actual Ravens fans or Ravens players, team, front office, that someone would take time out of their day to masquerade as a Ravens fan and be a troll and say things that really aren't applicable or aren't based in reality. I'm going to try not to engage them, and when I do, I'm going to try to engage them professionally. And we shouldn't rush to judgment either, to be honest with you. We can't assume that just because in the first hour or 48 hours or 72 hours after the Ravens put the non-exclusive tag on Lamar that, no one has apparently talked to him. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. I mean, there was three, supposedly, an article, I forget who it was, that there was three agents who came out and said, if they were handling the Lamar Jackson situation, they would tamper, meaning they would have already made contact with franchises and talked to them about their situation, how they could make it work, what salary number they could get to. Who's to say that Lamar and some team haven't made contact already? Lamar is very tight-lipped. I'm glad he is. And I'm glad that our front office has been very tight-lipped about it, and they're not out there putting information out for us to try to get some early indication as to what's happening. I want to specifically throw something out there, to be honest with you, though. And this is something that I talked about with a person on Twitter who is a Ravens hater, and we ended up messaging each other. And I actually pointed these numbers out to him, and it took a while before he was able to understand, where I'm coming from in terms of a person who tries to evaluate my favorite player and my favorite team in a balanced fashion. Look, Lamar's had trouble. Bear with me here if you're a Ravens fan, by the way. Lamar's had trouble with turnovers. They're legitimate troubles at times. They're not. You're not going to see them in these clips. These are generally highlight plays. But I want to talk about two seasons that each had their own distinct parts. After week 3 last year in 2022, so after the Patriots game in 2022, he produced 7 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown and had 7 turnovers before suffering the injury that, effectively ended his season in 2022. That's the second year in a row there's been a real drop-off in statistical production after a hot start. Now, I use that phrase statistical production intentionally so that when I do twist this point where I want to twist it, you have a little bit of context there. Let me go over this the last 2 years. 2022, weeks 1 and 3, 1 to 3, excuse me, he had 10 touchdowns versus 2 interceptions and also 2 rushing touchdowns in 3 weeks. 12 touchdowns. Unbelievable, right? 2021, rewind back a year. Film you're seeing from week 1 here. Weeks 1 through 5 in 2021, Lamar had 8 passing touchdowns versus 3 interceptions and only 2 rushing touchdowns. Look, I'm the biggest Lamar fan there is. He's my favorite player. I think I've done 60 plus videos on him on my channel, counting film studies, shorts, commentaries like this one. Some of my favorite videos that I've recorded where I was able to speak from my heart and speak from my mind the most was talking about him because he's my favorite player and I want him to succeed. But for me to not notice that pattern and not point it out, I would just not be serious about what I'm trying to do. I would be a hypocrite. I'm trying to analyze the game, the Ravens and Lamar in a balanced fashion as best I can. And outside of those 2 hot starts in the last 2 years, not 2019, not 2020, where you really in 2020 saw the reverse effect a little bit. You saw mid-season a statistical, I don't want to say drop-off, but not as hot. And then the end of the season, 2020, when we played 4 or 5 weak teams in a row, I mean, Lamar's stats were unbelievable. But the last 2 years, outside of those 2 hot starts, again, weeks 1 through 3 in 2022 and weeks 1 through 5 in 2021, his statistical impact has deteriorated each of the last 2 years. But having said that, as you see these plays running, he's dangerous. He's a winner. Every snap that he's on the field, there's a potential for big plays. Every game he's on the field, we can win. It doesn't matter who we're playing against. There's some fantastic teams across the NFL. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. The Bengals could have very easily been in their second Super Bowl in a row. The Bills have a tremendous reputation. I have my own thoughts about it, but they have a tremendous reputation. They haven't done anything yet to kind of warrant some of it in the postseason. Other than 2 big games offensively against the Chiefs, they haven't really done much. They defeated us in 2020 at home when their offense did nothing, and they were kind of lucky to get a win, get a home win, and move on to the next round. My point is, even though Lamar has had a statistical drop-off playing in the offense he played in the last 2 seasons, he's incredibly dangerous. He's incredibly capable of making plays like this one, or the last one you just saw on a 4th and 22 against Denver in 2021 in week 3 to basically avoid a loss, get us in position for Justin Tucker to win the game. And here's something I'm going to say on this. Other teams see how dangerous he is. You know why? You know how we can know that? The coverages they play against us. The corners are at 7 to 9 yards generally now. The safeties are at 10 to 12 to 13 yards. Their eyes are on the quarterback because they can do that from that depth. Playing at that depth, the corners and safeties' eyes can be on the quarterback because they have depth to not get beat deep. That's because of Lamar. That's because of the rushing threat that he is. That's because of some of the plays and concepts that we ran the last couple of years. Additionally, the sticks blitz zero stuff that now you won't see any of that in this video, but I've covered it ad nauseum. If you need me to cover it more, please let me know in the comment section. I can put something on Twitter, but I've done a lot of videos about that in the last couple of years. That concept that Miami ran in, I think, week 10, 2021, to kind of really destroy and break our offense thereafter. That was run because of Lamar. Why? Make him get rid of the ball. Don't allow him to scramble. Make other people make plays. Make Lamar get rid of the ball and not be a playmaker. Make him get rid of the ball. Force his hand. Don't let him do stuff like this. Well, how do you stop him from doing stuff like this? Well, if you run sticks blitz zero and you bring 6 or 7, depending on whether we have a running back in the backfield or not, look at the gaps that are here. If there was a running back in the backfield, the sticks blitz zero concept was bring in 7. Well, you only have 6 gaps here. They would be bringing 7. So it'd be impossible, theoretically, on paper, it's impossible for Lamar to find a lane to run through when each gap is filled. That's the idea. That's the concept. This is not going to be a comparison that a lot of people like, and it may not be the strongest basketball comparison that I could make. I in some ways liken him to Russell Westbrook at times. And he's been our Russell Westbrook for too long. Now, you may not like that comparison in 2023, and I don't either, to be honest with you. I'm not comparing 26-year-old Lamar Jackson in 2023 to the 34-year-old version of Russell Westbrook. I'm talking about, think back 8-10 years ago when Westbrook every night, 4 or 5 seasons in a row, was good for 25, 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 plus assists per game. The equivalent of sticks blitz zero in basketball would be every screen and roll or anytime Russell Westbrook crosses half court, double team him, get the ball out of his hands, make someone else be a playmaker, make someone else on his team, whatever team he was on, because at this point he's been on 4 or 5, whatever team he was on, make someone else make the play because Lamar is too good at it. And in those years, the 24-year-old version, 25, 26, 27-year-old version of Russell Westbrook, he was too. But there's a problem with that for me, and I've covered this in many videos, and I'm leading to a point here, and hopefully if you stick around, you'll gather. Maybe I need to be a little quicker getting to it. The idea was for this to be like 18-minute video. Russell Westbrook, Lamar Jackson, they had to do everything. Score, play defense, distribute the ball after breaking the defense down. We need that version of Lamar to be used less. Sporadically ask him to save us. And when I say save us, I mean the version of Lamar that we got in this game, week 3, 2022, where with his legs, he was able to save us and make plays with the pass as well. And you'll see some of them. Why did I talk about the 2 stretches where Lamar's statistical impact deteriorated? And why am I talking about Russell Westbrook? I don't think you can be Russell Westbrook in the NFL in any era for 60 minutes for 16 or 17 games throughout the course of the regular season. I don't think you can. And Lamar's the closest guy who probably can. I guess there's probably others. I'm talking about as a quarterback. I believe, and I'm getting to my point now, I believe Todd Monken's offense will give him the best opportunity in all aspects of his career. I really do. And that's not a statement that I have come about lightly. There's other content creators who are coaches who I think would share the same opinions, and those people and myself will get a chance to talk about it maybe in video form at some point. I think it gives Lamar coming back with the Ravens and being under Todd Monken's staff with T. Martin as the quarterback coach, Greg Lewis as the receivers coach, and some of the other offensive staff coming back who are coming back. It gives the Ravens the best chance to win games. Obviously, a lot of them. Regular season, playoffs. Like if you want to sit here and be negative and say, "Oh, they went one and out," just like I said they would. Well, first of all, you're a jerk. Second of all, the Ravens with a backup quarterback went up there to Cincinnati and outplayed the Bengals. What would it have looked like if we had Lamar? We would have won that football game. We're not turning the football over inside the 5 there with the game tied. It also, I think, gives Lamar the best chance to be a hybrid quarterback. Now, hybrid does not mean dual threat in this sense. I don't mean hybrid like dual threat quarterback who can run and throw at any point in time. I'm redefining that phrase or that term right now. What I mean is hybrid quarterback, part facilitator, part playmaker. And facilitator is what Lamar can do it. You're seeing evidence of it right here. Sure, film exists of him turning the football over. I just talked about those things earlier. That's why I prefaced this part of my video with it, because I understood there might be some trolls watching the video. And that's also why I called some of them out earlier, in case you didn't pick up on that. Lamar can be part facilitator, part playmaker. And then the third part, and I've said this enough over the course of the last 2 years, is closer. A guy who can close. You saw it in the Cincinnati game in week 5. You saw it in the Colts game in week 4 of 2021. You saw it in the Vikings game, I think week 9, 2021. He can be a closer. Greg Roman and Harbaugh didn't see it the way I do here. So maybe I'm wrong. They spend more time with him than I do, obviously. I spend none. Maybe I'm wrong. They didn't see it this way, meaning we don't need him to do this in the first, second quarter, because they would call those plays in the first, second quarter. But in my opinion, like, for example, this is a game-winning drive. How many other quarterbacks in the NFL are having this play called for them? Todd Monken should not remove this play from the play call sheet. All right, it should not. It should be in there. But I think he'll use it smartly. And in this case, against the Bengals in week 5, it was used smartly. It was used on a game-winning drive. I think we gained 23, 26 yards here. Damn near could have been more. Lamar almost takes this one to the house. If you see the blocking scheme, ends up tripping over Devin Duvernay's feet. My point is, I think he can be a hybrid quarterback from 3 standpoints, 3 roles: facilitator, playmaker, closer. And I don't think that I just don't think any quarterback can be closer for 60 minutes like Russell Westbrook, or prime Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, whoever. We don't need a quarterback to score 27 points a game and get 10 rebounds and dish out 11 or 12 assists for a 60-minute football game. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that is something that is good for his longevity in his career. As good as he is, as dangerous as he was in Greg Roman's offense for large parts of the game in the season, he can't be our lead scorer. I'm going back and forth between football and basketball references here, so stay with me. I truly believe that Todd Monken's offense will shift him to a facilitator role. I've spent a significant amount of time the last 3 or 4 days when I could watching Georgia offense and even some Cleveland offense from 2019, Tampa Bay offense from 2018. There's 3 different focuses there sometimes because you had 3 different sets of players, 3 different personnel groups. There's no way Todd Monken is going to ask Lamar Jackson to read the option out of the pistol 10, 12 times a game. It's not going to happen. That's not his offense. He's not an option offensive coordinator. He's not. We may keep zone read in there. We may keep QB counter read, QB power read because we're so damn good at it. But I don't think we're going to see stuff like this, even though it's a 25-yard game on a pistol option concept that, at times can look damn near unstoppable. We'll run it back one more time so you can see it. Pistol option, reading the outside linebacker. I think it's Tryon. This is one of the ones that people talked about him misreading. In any case, however you want to talk about it, I don't think this is going to be a main focus of the offense. I think Todd Monken's offense has the chance to make him be successful because he's a facilitator, has a chance to help us win games, help him win games, ultimately a Super Bowl. And the final point, this is going to be a sensitive one for a lot of us Ravens fans, is I believe Todd Monken's offense has the best chance to keep him healthy. Now, does that mean, did he get hurt on run plays like I just showed you? No, he did not. However, he's missed 10 games the last 2 years. We have to face that reality, and we have to face the reality that that is how a lot of the rest of the NFL football universe sees him. I don't believe he's injury prone. I don't. I think with this staff, Todd Monken, T. Martin shifting over to a quarterback's coach role, which he played in college, in case you don't know, at a very high level. Greg Lewis, receivers coach, coming over from the Chiefs. The good hires that we have on defense, some of the good coaches returning. I think they give us not just a balanced offense. I really, truly do think we'll have a balanced offense next year. I think they give us a balanced team, and that's a dangerous thought for the rest of the NFL because our defense is legit. Our defense is so legit that on the road against the Bengals, without Lamar, we generally outplayed the Bengals for, I'd say, 6 or 7 of the 8 quarters we played in Week 18 in 2022 and the wild card game with Brown and Huntley at quarterback. No disrespect to those guys. They're just not as talented as Lamar. In the wild card game, we were 2 players away from going on the road and beating the Bengals, who are, regardless of what you may think as a Ravens fan, they are incredibly talented and tough and smart, and we're very close to being in 2 consecutive Super Bowls. Those 2 players were Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman. That's who they were. We were that close to going on the road and winning a playoff game against the Bengals, who only lost, I think, 4 football games all year in the regular season. Next year, if Lamar and Bateman return, we're only really 1 player away from being just as dangerous, if not more, than the Bengals. And that's another quality receiver to go with Bateman, because I personally think that Bateman will have a great year next year in Todd Monken's offense. We're no longer, in my opinion, fighting uphill offensively. I don't think we will be. And I think that Lamar coming back, will be the best thing for him, the best thing for the franchise, the best thing for the fan base. And I see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, to be honest with you, with some of the things that have gone on this past week. I'm talking about the restructuring of Gus Edwards' contract and Michael Pierce's contract, probably to be followed by restructuring of a couple of other guys. The trade of Chuck Clark, who I did a video about earlier this week, trying to show respect to him. I think he had, a wonderful career with the Ravens as a former 6th-round draft pick out of Virginia Tech, who was unheralded and not expected to come in and start. And by 2019, found himself starting on the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs, or NFL in general. Look, I see light at the end of the tunnel. The moves that these other teams just made, Miami and Carolina, they appear to be 2 more potential suitors out of the way. And I really don't care how it happens. Whether no one tenders him an offer, and then we've got him this year on $32 million salary per year. And if he doesn't play under that salary structure, then he's not the guy that I think he is. Point blank, period. If he sits out and doesn't play all year, then he's not the guy that we think he is. He's not the guy that we need to win a Super Bowl. But I don't think he's that guy. If a team does tender him an offer, then we get the opportunity to match it and move on from this for at least 3 years, maybe 4. I'm still a little bit wary of a post-draft scenario where a team feels like they can offer a little bit more money, because then they'd be dealing with 2024 draft picks and 2025 draft picks. Either way, regardless, we're gonna sit every day on social media, on our phones, and we're gonna get news from NFL or things that NFL insiders consider news. But let me encourage you for one last time. I think I see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I hope you do too. I feel like the Ravens have smartly restructured deals, meaning they have restructured deals of 2 players that they want to be on the roster. And it tells me a little bit, to be honest with you. I feel like you can read into it a little bit about what the Ravens might do next. I think you're talking about them trading another player away. Maybe, I'm not sure who it will be, to be honest with you, but trading someone away to get further salary down, I think we're looking at possibly making a trade soon. I don't know who for. I don't know if it's for DeAndre Hopkins. He would be like 10 or 11 million on our cap hit next year. I think most of the cap hit would be Arizona's. Nothing would surprise me. I don't think these restructures are just to be able to fit Lamar into the salary structure. I think it is to make a trade prior to the finalization of either signing Lamar or no one tendering Lamar an offer, and we get to keep him anyway for 32 million this year. Look, you guys let me know what you think of the video. I was trying to be entertaining and give you some of the film. Some of it may get copyright hit, and I'll have to edit it out later. But this is designed to premiere on Saturday morning. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you sat around this long, please let me know. If you think other people would consider this video would enjoy this video, please consider sharing a link on social media to help the video get more reach. I am working on a longer form study of Todd Monken's offense that I won't be able to publish all the video of on YouTube. On my Patreon, there'll be a little bit of video of Georgia and their offense the last 2 years under Monken and how much he used the quarterback as a facilitator. That's why I spent so much time in this video revisiting that point, something that I had talked about ad nauseum the last couple of years, to be honest with you, about using Lamar as a facilitator more and less as a playmaker, less as a Russell Westbrook guy who was going to, take the brunt of the focus offensively off from the defense and so, in some cases wear himself down. And I suspect that has happened a little bit in the last couple of seasons. You guys let me know what you think of some of my thoughts in the comment section. And like I said, please consider sharing a link on social media this morning to help the video get more reach. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend.